So I'm looking forward to you all hearing what he has to do. But yeah, we'll give everybody just a couple more minutes. I always get a few emails that they get closer to the time saying that people are still trying to find the link and everything. So where are you at today, Bob? Are you traveling or are you in the home office?
I'm in Rancho Mirage. That's the home office now.
Okay. All right.
Loving it.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, welcome everyone. We'll get started here in just a minute. But a lot of you have been here before in the Mastermind referral group. Bob and I started a little while ago. It's been about a year now that we've been running this, and we have there's over 160 some odd people that get the newsletter that I send out, and not everyone can obviously be here every time, but when you can make it, we welcome you back. Really focus on trying to get to know each other's services, products, or just what you're an expert at, and be able to make connections for you with our outreach in social media. Bob is a LinkedIn guru and actually even has a team of people that help with outreach and other things on getting you connected with LinkedIn. Since I started working with Bob, we've added 4,000 or 5,000 connections now. So I think I started with about 8,000. We're up well over 12,000 now. So it's over 4,000,
Wow.
4,400 connections now. So that's been a good start. And then I have pretty good following too on other social media platforms, over 100,000, about 120,000 followers. So if there's any way I can help you utilize some of those connections, I'm happy to do that as well. But the whole idea behind this group is a mastermind referral group. It's not mandatory that you make a referral, but if you know somebody that might be a good fit for one of the service providers that you meet here on this group, then by all means, we highly recommend that you make those connections. And I've kind of grown up in sales, and my first sales job was when I was a freshman in college, and I was listening to some training tapes, and I loved the information that I learned from Zig Ziglar about that you'll get all you want out of life if you help enough other people get what they want. So I
Hey, Breck, what did you major in college?
So I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I went pre-PT, actually was a PT aide for a while, and then um, I went to junior college first, did my associate's degree, so that's where I did all my PT aid, and then applied to PT schools, saw the waiting list to get in, and I switched my major to business. And so, yeah, so I've got now an MBA with an emphasis in marketing, and I've actually even did some college level teaching, marketing 101. And
Wow.
yeah, so I'm an adjunct professor of marketing as well. But yeah, switched my degree, but then I ended up landed in healthcare. So there we go. We come back full circle. But yeah, so this is a fun group to be a part of, and welcome everyone that's here today. Looking forward to hearing a presentation from Damar. If you haven't had the opportunity to do a presentation for the group, please sign up. It's a lot of fun, and it's a good way for everyone to get to know you and what you do. Last week we got to hear from Jasmina, and it was great to hear all about her product that she represents and how that industry is growing and growing. Let me make sure you have some slides for us, Damar, to share.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so just gave you the ability to share your screen. So Dr. Lewis here is been in healthcare for about 40 years. He's a doctor of pharmacy, and also an entrepreneur. And so what's interesting about where his career has done, he's actually worked, behind the bench and has filled scripts and verified the medications and helped patients understand that this medication don't work well together. I know that your doctor prescribed those, but I'm going to save your life and tell you not to do that. And then he started to see some of his associates struggle. And one thing they don't do really well when you get a doctorate degree is teach you how to run a business. And so we have a lot of, not just in pharmacy, but also in medical practices, that, people are paying back student loans, and they're starting to make some really good money, but no one ever told them, taught them about business. And so Dr. DeMar has a good crossover that helps people know how to actually be more profitable with the current business that they're running. So I want to introduce DeMar to the group and have you take it away.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Brett, for that introduction. But yeah, no, that's the nice thing about this transition into really consultation or coaching, however you want to call it, is just the ability to be able to share. I've got 42 years of experience as a pharmacist, and I've done every type of pharmacy from institutional pharmacy within a healthcare system, such as Cedars-Sinai and Denver Health, to running home infusion operations. I actually have set up a pharmacy centric or pharmacist centric anti-coag clinic. This was back in the late 80s at Denver Health. And so from that standpoint, I've done a little bit of everything. And so from that standpoint, I've gotten a chance to kind of step outside of the traditional pharmacist box of, filling prescriptions, making sure they're accurate, and counseling people to actually owning my own business, running running operations where I've got P&L control. And so from that standpoint, that is where I come in. And so now this part is the fun part for me, is the ability to excuse me, got the wrong slide up, is to really share that knowledge with the new pharmacy practitioners and business owners, because community pharmacy has got a golden ticket in the fact that the pandemic has happened and leveled the playing field, but at the same time, 10 to up to 30%, depending on who you listen to, community pharmacies are set to close this year, and that statistic has been there for a long time. And it's programs like the BREM program, like the Community Pharmacy Roundtable, and other programs that are out there that are getting pharmacists to really think outside of the box, and I say pharmacists, but pharmacy owners, to really think about what it is they're doing and picking the things that make sense financially to do, as opposed to just doing what's been done and kind of hanging their hat on the number of prescriptions they're fulfilling, where they're making $2 or $5 on the prescription, as opposed to maybe doing one prescription where they make $100 or $200. It doesn't take too long before you hit your numbers with that.
Really a scary statistic is about 1/3 of all the prescriptions that are dispensed today are actually dispensed below the acquisition cost of the medication. So the pharmacy actually paid more for the drug than they're getting in reimbursement when they let it go out of their pharmacy.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Breck. Yeah, no, it's just crazy.
That is so shocking knowing how much they cost. I mean, when you compare to the cost in Europe, it's unbelievable. It's just like, I don't know what to do with, my brain doesn't know what to do with that information. It's
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
there's
you're
a
all
couple
welcome to
recent-
tune into my PBM reform podcasts, and you'll hear more about how those costs got to where they are and who's actually benefiting from it. So there is one specific entity that's making billions and billions of dollars while the rest of us are paying millions and millions more than what we should have to pay for.
Right, yes. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm able to work with business owners, whether it's a pharmacy, community pharmacy owner, or a service-based business. And the principles work no matter what type of business it is. And the key is just profit acceleration. So we're looking at profits as opposed to looking at revenue or looking at advertising. And so we're shifting the thought process from revenue to profit. And the reason why is that revenue basically feeds your ego. And, you talk about how much money you're making, but profit is what feeds your family. What you take home is what's the most important part. And using a particular strategy or software, I'm able to find hidden profits within any business. So we'll talk a little bit about that today, and how any business can generate the same type of profits as a $1 million business. Most businesses, small business is defined as, I think it's about 700,000 in annual revenue, up to about 7,000 or 700,000. And so, but using this strategy, you can take 25% of the revenue of $1 million company and be able to generate the same type of profits. And lastly, the one thing that we'll talk about today is how you can double profits. And I'll show you how to do that in less than 5 minutes. And with the ability to implement that strategy, well, when you go home and see the returns within 30 to 60 days. And it's all due to the power of compounding. So if we take a penny and we double it every day for 30 days, we'll end up with over $5,368,709.12. And it's all based on compounding and taking small incremental improvements that can result in massive increases. And we'll really kind of dig deeper into that in just a moment. And to understand this,
Laura, over what time period? You doubling, how long does that take to get to that 5 million, doubling a penny every day?
30 days.
30 days. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just yeah. So from that standpoint, it's crazy. So I'm gonna use the simulator and to kind of demonstrate the power of compounding. And again, we're looking at a $1 million company, gross profit of about 50%. That net profit margin is typical for most small businesses within any operation. Just a sidebar, typically a pharmacy is working at a gross profit margin somewhere between 20 to maybe 30%, just because of the cost of drugs. And
just because of
a, um, and their profit margin for most that are not doing very well is less than 5%. And so from that standpoint, that's why it's so important that we get a chance, you know, that we turn things around and get them looking at profits. What I'd like to do is have you on your screen is to kind of follow along the simulator. And if you go to my website, jdpconsulting.org/sim, you'll be able to pull up this same simulator. And what you can do is plug in your numbers and kind of see where there's opportunity. And we'll talk about the 12 different areas that are considered to be low-hanging fruit within it. And with a net profit margin of 10%, that means that for a company that with $100,000 annual revenue, it's about $50,000. So if you look at cell 2, a market dominating position, that's $50,000. But as you go down to all the way down to 12, you see that it's increasing and it's not the same. And why is that? And that is the power of compounding. So you know, you see in cell 3 that it's 10% of the 50,000, so it's 55,000, and you just keep cycling up depending on how much it is. And so that is really the takeaway, is that you don't need big changes. It's just, you know, getting whatever you can in a particular area. And there's going to be some areas where you might have maxed out, so you may not see the same type of returns. And so from that, the other thing is that these 12 areas represent low-hanging fruit within your business. And so, for example, cutting costs is one of the major areas when I encounter a small business that has no cash flow. And we'll talk about that in a little bit of what, you know, what you can do. The other thing is, and this is particularly true in most small businesses, is they have no market dominating position. They have nothing that's compelling people or customers to come to them and, you know, pay a little bit more, which is or distinguishes them from their competition. And so from that standpoint, that's the whole, you know, and again, I'm going to always lean back towards community pharmacy, just because that's where I've spent a lot of time, but all of this applies to any small business. In a community pharmacy, the perception is that they just can't compete with the Walgreens and the Rite Aids and CVS, and the actual opposite is true. And it's the competing also is controlled by things that are outside of their power, but what's in their power is the ability to identify what makes them special, what makes people want to travel from, you know, 5 miles away to come to their business and do business with them, as opposed to picking one of the corporate pharmacies or hardware stores, or so market dominating position is important. And then likewise, a part of that is creating a compelling offer. And what that means is then being able to talk about, let's say, for example, I do compounding, and I do sterile compounding. And so right now there's a shortage of 2 weight loss drugs Wegovy, and Ozempic. And so the raw chemical is actually available to be compounded. So you can actually make it, and the typical those typical manufactured drugs run anywhere from $400, or no, it's even more than that. It's like $700 up to $1,000, depending on how you're able to purchase it. Versus the compounded can be compounded for less than $100. And typically, most compounding pharmacies that are making it are selling it for $300 to $400. And in most cases, unless you have a diabetes diagnosis, it's not covered. And so being able to share that that uniqueness and be able to market that to your customer is what a compelling offer is. And that's something that I work on. And then going down the list, increasing pricing, and bundling, downselling, doing joint ventures, working with different kind of similar businesses. For example, working with blinking out on taking for example, where they are doing a surgical center, being able to provide them with some of their pre-meds, and then likewise their post-op meds, and or special compounds related to a particular surgery that the surgeon is doing. So we're going to focus on pricing, and increasing pricing is going to be one of the things. And let me switch over to the simulator now. Okay, so you can, I'm just going to go ahead and plug in $1 million business. Make sure I get the zeros right. And actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take a pharmacy that I'm working with right now, to get them some help. So 240. And so again, in this particular pharmacy, their gross margin is 19%, and their net profit margin, I want to say it's like 5%. Currency is $5. So do not have too many zeros in there. Yeah, so that's better. And so in this particular, again, looking at the gross profit margin, we are it's 19%, well below what a typical business should be generating. And so the pharmacist the pharmacy owner is making about 100,000 is what he's taking out of the business. So he's just barely covering his salary as far as profit. So the one area that I'm going to be working with them once we get started is to help them with cash flow. They have no cash flow in their business right now. And so we're going to look at cutting costs as one of the things. So if we can just increase it by cut costs by 5% through looking at secondary wholesale or looking at wholesalers, and instead of piecemealing their drug purchases through several different wholesalers because of price, is to work with one wholesaler whereby they can see between 15 and 30% reduction in their costs. And so by just doing that alone, you'll see that they're able to increase their profits by 114,000. The other area is looking at how they're pricing things and increasing their prices. Most businesses don't increase their prices at all. And the ones that do, usually it's like every 8 or 10 years. And, I don't know about you guys, but in California, all you have to do is go to the gas pump and look over the last 2 years and notice how much prices have gone up, or go into your favorite fast food place. And I guarantee you, McDonald's, for example, has raised the price, at least several times. And so your Big Mac that you ordered was, $4.50. And now it's, $4.97. And so from that standpoint, increasing pricing is important in a small business. And specifically, if we just increase it by 5%, 5.5%, look what we do to the profits. We've gone from 120,000 to over $366,000 dollars. And so if we just do those two things alone, we've given the business roughly about $30,000 in cash to be able to purchase more drugs. And so from that standpoint, that's the thing. And then again, working with them to identify their market dominating position and create a compelling offer. If we're able to do those two things alone, that's typically, you will see somewhere between a 20 and 40% impact on the business. But let's just be very conservative, and let's just say we do a 3%. So we've gotten them, just with those two areas alone, we've got them almost to $500,000 in profits. And that's not even really going into doing anything major. So within 12 weeks, we're going to get them to roughly about $35,000 to $40,000 in revenue. And again, going through and kind of doing the same thing in the other 12 areas. So let me go ahead and kind of wrap things up here. So again, using the power of compounding and working with the business to lower costs, raise their prices, we're able to see dramatic changes within a business. And this is just using a simulator. So the ideal thing is that normally I will spend 90 minutes, and I will show the business where they can, double or triple their profits, and using their own numbers, their own specific numbers within, and their own specific situation. And so in closing, I'm looking for any small business that wants to make more revenue, or excuse me, more profits, that wants to work less hours, become more efficient in running their business, and really seeing that their job is to run the business and not be working in the business. And then likewise, who wants a lifestyle where where the business supports their lifestyle instead of their lifestyle is secondary to the business. With that, I will go ahead and close. Do you guys have any questions?
Michelle?
Yeah, sorry. First of all, great presentation. I love the simulator. What I'm curious about is how you charge for your services. Damar, you're on mute.
Great question, Michelle. How I charge for my services is it's usually a kind of a subscription model, so it's a monthly fee. Normally, I want to, when a company's just starting out with me, I want to have a 12-month commitment, because depending on what's going on with them, it will take some time. This particular company that I shared their financials, they've been operating for 3 years, and they've been just basically continuing to make bad decisions, and it's going to take me a little bit of time, and in order to be able to get them not only turned around financially, but get them to really be selective of the type of business that they're going after. So,
May I ask a follow-up question?
sure.
Okay. So first, how open does the company have to be with you? How open are the books? And
Well, that's a great question, Michelle. They in order to be able to help them, they have to be open, and there's nothing that's proprietary. The problem is, depending on the size of the organization, they see their financials as something that they do as a once a year event, to do their taxes, as opposed to using it as a business tool, and seeing that they have to they should be basing their decisions based on having that tool. So that's the first hurdle that I go through. And so sometimes that means getting them a bookkeeper to go through and do their financials. But for the most part, what they realize is that they're not sharing anything that I really don't have access to, because I can go on Seamless and look at a company and tell, predict, what their revenues are, and then likewise, what the average is for that particular industry.
so even if you don't know anything about an industry like mine, for example, which is market research, how quickly can you get up to speed?
Very quickly. Market research companies they're anywhere from 1 to 5 million. And so is that kind of where your company is
Yep.
at? Okay. And so, I've had I have had one conversation with you. And so,
Right.
that's, that was when, I mentioned to you, there's some opportunities, since you've merged with another company, is to
Right.
look and see where, what the most efficient things are, ways to move the company forward. And is it the company that you merge with using their using their processes or the processes that you have. You know, because I think that we talked specifically about that. Your
We
salespeople,
did, yeah.
you have two sets of salespeople. And so from that standpoint, just to make peace, you said, okay, you do it your way since that's what you've been doing.
Mhm.
But that may not be the kind of the long-term
Yeah.
solution to that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions for Damar? What is your capacity, Damar? You know, there's a lot of time and energy spent with each client. So how many clients can you personally work with at a time?
Well, typically, I have about, I can work with up to 10 one-on-one clients. Some clients I'm working with, like bookkeepers or accountants, with their particular clients. So I'm doing that through group coaching.
Okay.
So I would say to you that probably 20 to 30 is in either a one-on-one or group coaching type of
Combination.
combination.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Any other questions for Dr. Damar? All right. Well, thank you very much for your presentation. Very well done.
Well, thank you.
I've heard his presentation, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 times, and I still learn something every time. So I may be just a slow learner and you guys got it all the first time, but if you didn't get it all the first time, please, please set up a one-to-one and really get into the details of it. But I think we've got a small enough group here today that we'll
Hey,
just
Brad.
Yep.
Yeah, hey, sorry, it's Tony. I was on mute. I was trying to ask a question.
Oh, so
I
yeah, go ahead.
apologize. Um, Damar, just out of curiosity, how many pharmacies would you say are distressed enough to benefit from your tool, or is the tool more to help them whether they're distressed or not? I wasn't quite clear on that.
It definitely can help 100% of the pharmacies that are distressed. But I would say to you that 80% of the pharmacies that are struggling, community pharmacies and really small businesses in general, but specifically community pharmacies, they're in a situation where there are some situations that are outside of their control. So as Breck mentioned, a third of their prescriptions are zero margin. And so that means that they're filling them for free. And so they're not getting paid they're losing money for the labor and whatever their overhead is. And so from that standpoint, and they also are getting hit with fees. They're called DIR fees, but essentially the PBMs, pharmacy benefit managers, are assessing a fee for filling a prescription. And some up until this year, that was retroactive. So one pharmacy got hit with a $92,000 DR fee. And in the example that I showed you, that would have wiped out that particular pharmacy. They
Yeah.
would have no profits.
Yeah.
That particular situation.
Yeah,
That just doesn't sound legal.
it is legal, unfortunately. It's just not ethical.
Well, yeah, that's pretty obvious, but and there's probably not enough independent pharmacies to do a class action lawsuit against the PBMs, but that just sounds totally illegal to me. But I was back in Pennsylvania in my hometown last year. And, not to get into how depressed the area is anymore, but we used to have probably more independent pharmacies than, the bigger retail chains like Rite Aid and so forth. And now there is only one left, and it's basically Rite Aid and giant pharmacy, and that's pretty much it. And it's really sad that those are the only choices. And
Yeah.
what's happened to competition, really, and the ability for small business to make a living.
Yeah, it's really sad. That DIR fee that Damar was talking about increased over 91,000% in the last 5 years. So if you put that same, financial equation, it would cost you over $70,000 to fill up your car with one tank of gas.
Wow.
That's like a gallon of milk costing $36,000 for 1 gallon of milk.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. My wife deals with it with her benefits company, and she actually exposes all that to the business owner so that they can, hey, listen, I can help you with your benefits just on this one area because of the waste that's occurring with people. Everybody's got their hands in somebody's pocket on the transition of getting this prescription filled.
Yeah, exactly. But to your point, Tony, there actually is a class action lawsuit that's been started with a bunch of community pharmacies that are suing the PBMs over this. And then so there's a pharmacy podcast network. It's been around before podcasts were popular, and now everyone has one or two. But this one's been going on for 10 years or longer, maybe even 15 years. And I host the PBM Reform podcast, and I'll have House of Representatives and legislators on all the time trying to say, hey, what's the next step? So there has been some reform that is like transparency is one of the main things, because you'd had these contracts that had gag clauses in them. So even if it was less expensive for the patient to pay cash for a medication rather than pay their copay. So their insurance copay may be $37.50 for a medication that really only costs $8 if you pay cash. The pharmacist couldn't tell the patient pay cash. They had to collect the $37.50.
Yeah. I worked in pharma back in the heyday in the late 80s, early 90s. And obviously there was a lot more drug companies then. They actually did innovate in the day. And generics were actually, I would say anywhere from 70 to 90% less expensive than brand name drugs. That's not the case today at all. I mean, generics are, my mom, especially when you're dealing with a parent who's on a lot of meds. My mom is on mostly generic drugs, and if she wasn't on Medicare, the one drug would cost $400. It's generic. That's insane.
Yep.
They're blaming that on supply and demand crap.
That's total bullshit.
I know, but that's what they're
Yeah.
blaming it on. I mean, it's just like the oil companies. Well, we have a little disturbance in the Middle East. Oil's got to go up now. So much a barrel.
Well,
It's all manipulation.
yeah, I consult to the industry, and I've worked for generic companies. And part of the problem is the API, active pharmaceutical ingredient they use. They basically outsource it to China and India, and it's more profitable for them to manufacture API for brand name companies than it is for generic. Unless they're in the generic business themselves, then they go and they undercut everybody. It's all economic scam, in my opinion.
Shell game. Yeah.
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 Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail the.
No, I mean, it's
The
obviously a
presentation.
hot topic right now, and you can just look at the fee schedules from the different plans, and just from a third party. So ServRx is a third party. We still have to make a margin to cover our costs, right? But it's
Right.
we're on about 6-7% margin, even when we are taking a 30% collection fee, basically is what it is. So if the fee schedule was 100%, we reimburse the pharmacy 70%. And that is tremendous to them. we now only collect about, on average that 7% margin, right? Because you're going to get all these short pays and you're just going to get no payment. But we take all that risk so the pharmacy doesn't have to. They love taking that 70% all day. In fact, they would take it on every plan if they could, because they're getting minus 60% from the PBM. And then for the Department of Labor, minus 88%. They're supposed to do everything, have the overhead covered and the medication covered for 12% of what the actual fee schedule is.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys, this is a depressing meeting. What's up with this? I'm serious. And you
The
made me
other-
think of what a guy told me who administers, he doesn't administer, he mixes cancer treatment drugs. He said they're like 800% marked up. Is that true?
That's a minimum. That's
Well,
a minimum,
yeah.
man. That stuff
Oh
is
my gosh.
ridiculous.
It's just
Especially
shocking.
pharmacies
And,
where the big bucks are, right?
And the drug companies sell directly to the doctor, and the doctor marks it up to the insurance. Yeah, it's a racket.
It's crazy.
It's
You know, I
a
was
business
recently
model.
I was recently in Europe and I walk into pharmacy, what looks like a pharmacy from the outside. I walk in and I'm looking around. I'm like, are you guys a pharmacy? And they're like, oh yeah, of course. All I see is like natural products, natural cosmetics, everything natural. Like I walked into the supplement store and I'm
Mhm.
like, you're a pharmacy. Where are your meds? Oh, nobody wants to look at the meds. They're on the back. Do you need something? Do you have a prescription? I'm like, no. She said, most of the people want to try this first and then they go to the next level. And I was like, wow, I was totally shocked.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's get on to a little happier topic and
Yes.
meet some new people that if this is like one of your first times or very first time coming here, would love to meet you. Is it Marina?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So is this your first time coming to this meeting?
No, I actually joined a couple weeks ago, but I
Okay,
was
good.
sick, so I didn't get to introduce myself.
Yeah, no. I'd love to hear who you are, where you are, what part of the world you're in, and what you do.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm Marina Morris Day. I live in sunny Tucson, Arizona. I'm a doctor of pharmacy. I've been a pharmacist for 10 years. I've been in healthcare for 18 in various sectors. I started out in patient hospital pharmacy, then did retail for a bit, and then went completely in the non-traditional pharmacist path. And I did workers' comp PBM, worked for a global medical device company with the diabetes operating unit. Then I went back to PBM on the group health side, and now doing some consulting in the sports and anti-doping arena as well.
That's right. And was it Cindy Gordon that invited you to the meeting at one point or something? Do you know Cindy?
Yeah, I know that she forwarded one of your meetings to me.
Okay.
I'm not really sure how I became part of this, but I'm so happy to be here.
Excellent. Yeah. Now,
Yeah,
so
and
did you ever work with First Scripts down in Tucson?
that's exactly who I was
Yeah.
with, the First Script Coventry. And when I started with them, we were bought out by Aetna.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was CVS, and now it's Mitchell International. So they've gone through.
Yep. Mitchell's rolled that all up, and Stone Point Capital's kind of funded that whole thing. So yeah.
Yeah. But now I'm actually embarking on a new adventure. I'm opening my own practice as an independent patient advocate. And so, aside from my healthcare background, my motivation comes from being a first-generation immigrant. I'm from Russia. I immigrated to the States at the age of 12, and having parents with limited English proficiency, and had to grow up very quickly and advocate for them every step of the way. And so, even though it's been decades, I still have a long way to go with language access and health literacy. And then my husband recently going through his health issues and hospitalization. So again, getting to see firsthand just how complex our healthcare system is, right? As we're talking about it, and it's just not set up to successfully coordinate care. And even though I'm a health professional, it was still a big struggle. And so I do believe that, my husband would have had a very different outcome, a poor outcome, if I wasn't around to navigate for him. So just really looking forward to putting, everything that I have to offer and seeing the impact that I can make as a patient advocate. Still in the beginning stages. So please stay tuned for more information from me. Official announcement when I'm up and running, ready to take on clients.
Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. Damar, you had a question?
No, I just want to, also clap because I think that area is so under populated, and I can't think of a better profession than a pharmacist to be able to advocate for patients.
Yep.
Because we already know how to get a doctor, how to change a medication.
Yeah.
But more importantly, being able to, advocate for the patient and making sure the patient understands. My wife just got back from visiting her dad who lives in New Mexico, and the level of care that they were getting and what the doctors and nurses were saying to them was absolutely horrendous. And I just kept telling my wife, okay, you need to say this, and he has some cardiac issues and he was having difficulty breathing. And I said, okay, they need to have a cardiologist. They need to have someone come assess, is he going to be safe at home? They discharged him a week earlier, and within 5 days, he ended up falling. Thank God he didn't break anything. And I had been jumping up and down because there was no OT evaluation prior to him going home. And he went in for the same thing where he was having stability issues and mobility issues. So I think that we need you and multiplied by 100
Yeah.
in order to really navigate the healthcare system and really help people.
Absolutely. Yeah, appreciate that. And definitely we need to get the word out that something like that exists. I think most people still don't know and they try to navigate things themselves, or try to use their relatives or friends, but not everybody has the knowledge that we do, like you said. So yeah, definitely much needed.
Marina, please put your contact information in the chat.
Okay.
And you're absolutely right. And some patients actually use caseworkers, and then caseworkers actually work with insurance agencies,
Yes.
and they work for them more than for the patient, unfortunately.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So being independent, my allegiance is going to be completely with the patient. So
That's
yeah.
super important. I do some legal interpreting also because I'm originally from Croatia, so I
Okay.
happening. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, amazing. Well, welcome to the group officially. If I didn't welcome you the last time that you were able to visit, I think you had to pop out a little early or something. But I just put some information in the chat that I think would be very beneficial for you. Also, the Well Wave Now group that meets on Tuesday afternoons at 1 Pacific time. And that second link is something you're welcome to use that for your patients. This is literally how you add almost a decade to your life. If you can check the boxes on that health risk assessment in a positive manner, you can add up to 10 years to your life. This is a proven process. And if you can't check the box the appropriate way, that's when you need to make some changes in your life. The most easy, lowest hanging fruit, the one I'll pick on is smoking. If somebody smokes, you need to stop smoking. Gonna kill you. You're gonna add years to your life if you stop smoking. So there's a whole list of things and a study that even includes, gets into the diet of nuts and berries and things we don't even think about. You think about, okay, I got to eat fresh fruits and vegetables and try to get things that's more organic, so it doesn't have the pesticides and all that. But this study even gets right down to the consumption of even nuts and berries.
Okay, thank you. Definitely
And,
check that out.
Yeah, so we'll appreciate everybody being here today. This is great to see you all again, and appreciate Dr. Demar, for his presentation. And please do a one-on-one with him if you want more information about his program. We also are rolling this out to a webinar series to our community pharmacies, and helping them with that, as well as Richard, who's a part of this group, with his program. And then I saw Phil earlier. Phil helps with our small businesses planning for their retirement in the future. So the three of them are the experts: Richard, Demar, and Phil, that put on that webinar. So you're always welcome to pop in. I think the next one is on the May 10th. Is that right? Demar, does that sound right? I think it's May 10th, and it
April 10th.
April. I'm sorry. Yes. So get next week. April 10th. So
Yeah.
it's Wednesday at what is it, 11 Pacific
Yeah.
time?
Yeah, so we're rolling from the community pharmacy roundtable into the other presentation.
Yep, absolutely. RX for financial success. So that's your prescription for financial success. So same methods apply to small businesses as it does to our pharmacy partners. So anyone's welcome to join in on that. But appreciate everyone being here today. And I usually give Bob the last word. I don't know if he's still with us. I see a couple of his links are connected, but Bob, are you still with us? If not, then we'll give everybody a couple of minutes back of their day, and hope to see you next week. All right, take care, everyone.
Thanks, Brett.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye now.